if you're the one doing all the work in the kitchen, then you get to have the little extra treats. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make crepes with lemon and sugar. This is one of my favorite recipes because it reminds me of trips I've taken to Paris. And this recipe makes about 13 crepes, which is perfect because you're always gonna mess up at least one. The ideal crepe, in my book, has nice lacy edges and is thin all the way through. In this chapter, I'm gonna show you how to put together the batter, how to cook them, and how to serve them with style. First things first, we'll make our batter. Okay, so I'm gonna mix my wet ingredients first. A little cream for extra richness. You could do this whole process in a blender if you'd like. A high-speed blender works like that, and it's great to have. You won't even have any lumps if you do it that way, but doing it by hand works just as well. And we're gonna strain the mixture in the end, so if you have a few lumps, no biggie. Sometimes I even do this with a stick blender. Because you really don't want any of those stringy bits of white left behind, because those will show up in your crepes. That looks pretty good. And now we can do our dry ingredients here. Flour, a little bit of sugar, salt, of course. I'm gonna save the butter and the vanilla to put into my mixture after I strain it because I don't wanna strain any of that out. So I like to add just a little bit at a time. We're trying to avoid lumps here, but again, if you get a few, we're gonna strain it, so don't worry. So I like to make a little paste here and then add it just a little bit at a time, kicking a little bit of the flour in from the sides as I go. Just like this. Now, if you were to try to add all this liquid to this little bit of flour, you'd just be chasing the flour around the bowl. It's almost impossible to mix it in evenly. And as it gets a little wetter, you can sort of kick more of the flour in as you go. This is a great method when you need to mix a batter that has way more liquid ingredients than dry ingredients. Something like pancakes, or muffins, or even pasta. Now we'll just make sure we have all of it from the bottom. Ooh, it's such a nice creamy batter. And now actually, I'm gonna use this again. And just to be sure, this teeny little strainer, we're gonna strain it. Great. Not gonna leave any of that crepe batter behind. Okay, so there, you can see. I have a couple lumps, a tiny bit of egg white that wasn't fully mixed in. Get that out of here. Okay, now we can add our butter. You can see as soon as the warm butter sort of hits this cool mixture, it's gonna solidify into little pieces, and that's what we don't wanna strain out. So that's why I did it at the end. And our vanilla bean. I'm only gonna use a quarter because vanilla beans are actually pretty strong. Slip it open. I always use a paring knife to cut my vanilla beans. I find that you have the most control. You can slip down right into the middle, open it up, and then use not the sharp side, the flat side. Just scrape out the beans. But this is a very valuable piece of vanilla, so don't throw this away. We're gonna put it right in because it's gonna impart some flavor to our batter as well. We'll save these for another day. Wrap them really well, and you can store them in an airtight container in the freezer. Okay, so now this batter needs to rest ideally overnight in the fridge. I want all the gluten to relax after I really whisked it so vigorously. I want all the flour to get absorbed nicely so that I have really even, beautiful crepes. I have here a little crepe bar I've set up. I have my chilled batter, and I also have my lemon and sugar because I like to sort of make them season them with the lemon and sugar, and then serve them right away nice and hot. If you'd like, you can do them all at once, all the crepes at once, keep them in a low oven until you're ready, and then finish them with the lemon and sugar that way. So while that preheats for a sec, I'm gonna put in a little bit of butter. Now, I have this beautiful, clean, nonstick skillet, so you shouldn't need too much butter, but just in case, we'll put a little pat, and you know what? A little extra butter never hurt. So while that's melting, I will cut up some lemon slices. Now, I love the combination of lemon and vanilla and a little bit of sugar, but you could certainly use other things. Orange zest would be nice. You could throw a little orange liqueur into the batter. These crepes are very versatile. All right, that's probably enough lemon for now. I'm using super fine sugar here to finish my crepes, and that is just sugar that's been ground down to very fine little granules. And if you can't find super fine sugar in the store, you can just take granulated sugar and run it through a blender or food processor. I'm using that because I don't really want it to be crunchy with sugar necessarily, just sort of sweet and delightful. Okay, so my pan is pretty hot. We'll start with a scant 1/4 cup. So I'm using a 1/4 cup as my scoop, but that's sort of like somewhere between 3 and 4 tablespoons of batter. Give it a stir, make sure to mix everything up. And my vanilla bean is down there, so make sure you don't get your vanilla bean into your crepes. And now they say that the first one is always a little bit of a disaster. Don't worry if that happens. So I pour my batter into the center and just let it sit for 1 sec before gently swirling the pan around. It'll still taste good, just doesn't look good, but it smells good. When you go to Paris, you see those guys with the huge flat surface and they have this beautiful wooden tool. It's mesmerizing. It's not quite the same here in the skillet, but it'll taste good. I said the first one would be messed up, and it sure enough it is. But it's always like that, and I don't exactly know why. But I'm gonna eat this one. It's not gonna go to waste. We'll just set it aside. Okay. Now, we'll try again. So that's a scant 1/4 cup. So somewhere between 3 and 4 tablespoons. There we go. So this is gonna go for about 30 seconds to a minute, and you know it's time to flip when you start to see the very edges just pick up a little more color. You see the brown on the very edges? So that's how I know to start paying attention. And I just grab it, flip. So now I'm gonna sprinkle it with a little bit of that superfine sugar. Yum. A little lemon. The citrus is so nice with the sugar because you would think that they would be too sweet if you're directly adding all this sugar to your crepe, but the lemon really balances it out. It's really lovely together. So now I'm gonna just fold it in half, fold it in a 1/4, finish with a little more sugar, a little more lemon, a few seeds, never hurt anybody. And she's ready. So now you just have to do this 10 million more times. So you really shouldn't have to butter in between each crepe. If you're working with a nice nonstick pan, the butter that's in the batter will do the job just fine. And if you find yourself with a few little holes, just go back and fill it in. But I think that the key to a really good crepe is that it's not too thick, which means that you have to be a little more delicate. You have to work fast when you flip it. But a thin crepe is just so delightful. So I see the brown. So I like to kick it up just a little bit with the offset, grab it quickly, flip. It is hot. I'm not gonna lie, it is a little hot. But if you work really fast, you won't burn your fingers. Put a little sugar in this one. I mean, you could just eat them plain. The vanilla bean is so nice. If you can manage it, the fresh vanilla really makes a difference. So when your bottom looks like your top, it's ready to go. Half, quarter, a little more sugar, and a little more lemon. Yum. I'm gonna finish up the rest of my batter and then we can taste them. Here are my finished crepes. Don't they look so beautiful? Look at these lovely lacy edges. They're super thin. I can't wait to taste one. I love the sweetness from the vanilla bean and the sugar, but then you get that nice fresh tang from the lemon juice. It's such a nice combination. Such a simple combination, but so special. Yum. In this chapter, I've showed you all the ingredients you need, how to put together the batter, how to cook them, and how to serve them with style. Have fun.